We're studying the results of a researcher who's looking at 600 cats. It tells us that, quote, 207 non-adaptive cats were studied, and of them, 180 were found to have response times that were simply not fast enough. By comparison, a total of 300 cats were both adaptive and had response times that were fast enough. How likely is it that a cat is adapted to environmental physical dangers or has a response time that is fast enough? So we're looking at two things, adaptivity and response times. So we want to know, is adaptive to environmental physical dangers, which we'll just go ahead and call event A for adaptive, or has a response time that is fast enough, we'll just go ahead and call that R. So what we want to know is the probability of A or R. Well, we know, based on our study of probability, that that's probability of A plus the probability of R minus the probability of A and R. And of course, we don't have any probabilities in this situation listed out, so we might have to create a little table. And in this table, we'll talk about adaptive, non-adaptive. So we'll say A, not A. And then we'll say R, not R. For response time fast enough, response time not fast enough. Okay, so we know there are a total of 600 cats. So we'll go ahead and replace our grand total here, 600. And we know that in his report he details that 207 non-adaptive cats were studied. So non-adaptive cats, a total of 207 were studied. Okay, and of them, 180 were found to have response times that were simply not fast enough. So of these guys, 180 fell into the response time not fast enough category. We also know that, by comparison, a total of 300 cats were both adaptive and had response times that were fast enough. So were adaptive and had response times that were fast enough. That's this cell right here, and that's a total of 300. Well, that's all the information we're given, so we're just going to go ahead and fill this in. It's always kind of nice just to fill things in just to make sure that the math works out correctly. And so since we know that this has to add up to 207, well, 207 minus 180 means that the remaining 27 have to fall into this box right here. So 27 plus 180 has to equal 207. Similarly, these column totals have to add up to 600. Well, we have 207 here. 600 minus 207 is going to be 393. So that 393 plus 207 equals 600. Well, that allows us to fill in some more stuff here. We know that since the number of adaptive and responsive response time fast enough plus the number of adaptive and response time not fast enough has to add up to 393, this must be the 93 that makes that happen. So now we can figure out our totals for the rows. So we know that 300 plus 27 is 327. We know that 93 plus 180 is 273. And just as a quick double check, we should be able to add 327 plus 273 to give us 600, and that looks to be the case. Okay, well, even though we don't have probabilities in here still, we can begin to answer this question. We know that a probability is the number of ways in which something has happened divided by the total, and so we will go ahead and do that. I'll change my color here. And we know that the number of adaptive, well, that's the total number of adaptive, which is 393. Well, what's that out of? Well, it's out of a total of 600. So 393 out of 600 are strictly adaptive. Plus, the probability that a cat has a response time that's fast enough, well, there are 327 cats that had that characteristic out of a total of 600. Minus the probability that a cat is both adaptive and responsive. Well, adaptive and responsive, there were 300 cats falling into that category, and that's again out of 600. Now notice that really we have a common denominator here, so really this is just 393 plus 327 minus 300, all out of 600. Okay, so I'm going to come over to my handy dandy calculator and do 393 plus 327 minus 300, and that gives me 420, which is out of 600. And what's that going to come out to? Well, let's divide that by 600, and we get a total of 70%. All right, excellent. So alternatively, the way you could have done this is the reason I kind of put this all into one fraction is really, well, where does a cat qualify as adaptive or responsive? Well, that's where they're adaptive alone, responsive alone, or both adaptive and responsive. So really, here's adaptive alone. Excuse me. Here's adaptive alone. Here's responsive alone, and here's both adaptive and responsive. So really, it's just the total of these three guys right here. Now keep in mind what we did is we added the total here plus the total here, so we double counted this 300 and we had to subtract it out once. If we had just went ahead and added 300 plus 93 plus 27, then we should still get 420, which we do. So our answer is 70% of cats are adaptive to environmental physical dangers or have a response time that is fast enough.